Today, my personal and Broker Smith's preferred insurance agent, Franklin Rouse, has agreed to share some really valuable insurance advice with us. But real quick, if this is your first time on my YouTube channel, my name is Donald Smith, and I am a local real estate broker here in southeastern North Carolina. And as much as I love making these YouTube videos, I love even more helping my amazing clients accomplish their real estate goals here in the Cape Fear area. So if you or anyone you know is looking to buy or sell, or if you have any real estate questions, please feel free to give me a call, text, or email anytime. My contact information is in the description below. All right, so let me jump right into my introduction of Franklin. As many of you know, my house was almost completely destroyed during Hurricane Florence. It was a devastating event for my family, and to be honest, up until that point, I'd never even thought a whole bunch about my homeowner's insurance. I knew I had it, but it was being paid as a part of my mortgage payment, so I didn't pay much attention to any of the details. Boy, did that change with Hurricane Florence. I remember walking into Franklin's office right after that storm. We were tired, we were hot, and we were extremely emotional. Just about everything we owned was destroyed. I can honestly say that the first time meeting Franklin, I was not the nicest person. My family and I were hurting. It took an entire year for us to get back into our home, and during that time I learned some important and valuable lessons about having the right insurance agent to be in my family's corner. I also learned from my experience with Franklin what it means to be a good agent, and have taken what I've learned from that experience in my interactions with Franklin, and I have applied that to my business and my interaction with my real estate clients. And so with all of that being said, it's my honor and my privilege to introduce you to my insurance agent, Franklin Rouse.
Yeah, so my name is Franklin Rouse. I'm an insurance agent in Leland. I've been there for 15 years. Actually started scratch, meaning I didn't have any clients at the time. Obviously very fortunate to be in an area like Leland, Brunswick County, really the whole area that's experienced so much growth, and our business really is a good fit for this area. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old and a wife that works in education, and like the folks that live here, we're very blessed to be a part of this community. Yeah, so our clients, what you can expect when you work with our team is you're going to get a relationship. We feel that it's very important that we understand and we know you, we know your needs. Not everyone's insurance needs are the same. So you're going to get a relationship, you're going to get a friendly face to work with, someone that you're going to know, and that's really important in the insurance industry. And what we find is so many folks are used to poor customer service experiences where companies want to kick you off to a website, or they want to kick you off to an 800 number, or even worse, they want to kick you off to a chat bot or AI. So we want to be different than that. And so our customers really appreciate the fact, and we appreciate the opportunity to be able to have a relationship and get to know our folks. And there's an educational process with insurance. Insurance isn't something you think about every day. You think a whole heck of a lot about it when a hurricane's barreling down on you. So there is an educational process that happens up front, and a lot of that, is just going to happen through getting to know our clients and having relationships. So our clients benefit from having 8 full-time professionally licensed team members. So having adequate staff and capacity, particularly in an area that's growing so much. And then also, you've got catastrophic weather events potentially with hurricanes. So we want to make sure we have enough people, but you're going to get a personal relationship with my team. That is incredibly important to us, that we know you, we know your family, and that helps us diagnose what your needs are so that we can provide an educational process so that you can make the best decisions about the types of insurance that you need. So when so many companies now, it doesn't matter who you're dealing with. You're getting kicked off to 800 numbers, you're getting kicked off to websites. It's so incredibly impersonal to the point that businesses want you talking to chatbots and artificial intelligence. So that's where we're going to be completely different. When you talk to our office or you work with us, you're going to have a relationship with probably more than one person in our office that's going to be based on trust. We really enjoy the opportunity to be able to get to know our clients, and we think it benefits our clients, and we think that they appreciate having that relationship. Yeah, so when you're shopping for homeowners insurance, my advice would be to make sure that number one, you have a sense of the business that you're, because this is a business relationship that you're going into. I mean, you're going into a contract with the business, so you want to know something about that business. You want to have a sense of what their finances are. Are they capable of not only withstanding the kinds of events that can occur here, but are they a company that has some history here, meaning that they're more likely to stick around, and a company that you're going to have a relationship with over time. In terms of coverage, obviously we understand wind, hail, and the need for that here. There's also discussions about flood insurance. There are areas, just because you're not in a high risk flood zone doesn't mean that your home cannot flood. Mother Nature doesn't understand flood lines. So, you want to pay attention to, are you close to a higher risk flood zone? So that probably needs to be considered. And then the company that you're working with is only as good as the agency that's selling that company. So I think it's important that you understand you have some sort of relationship with the agents that you're working with. You want them to be professional, of course. You want them to have some sort of a track record. And then you need to have a good conversation with that agent or that team about the coverages that are necessary for you. In this environment, we're seeing costs of repair going through the roof, so that there is concern that a lot of people out there are underinsured, particularly if we're talking about a massive weather event like a hurricane, where costs post-hurricane go through the roof. So just because you buy a house, say for $300,000-$400,000, in some cases the amount of insurance you need in that house may be more than what you paid for it. So only a conversation, real conversation with an agent, are you going to be able to determine what your needs are and make sure that those are all filled. Yeah, so regular reviews with your insurance agent are incredibly important, in my opinion. Particularly now, like I was just said before, costs are absolutely crazy. So cost of construction is probably considerably higher than when you bought your home. So if you bought your home 4 or 5 years ago, there is some concern that you may be underinsured. So having a review and going over the square footage, going over the cost, most insurance agents have a tool that can help them support you in your decision making about the replacement cost value of your home, how much contents you need to insure, how much liability coverage you need. Now, insurance is usually pretty predictable. However, the industry is changing, so there are discounts that change over time. There are opportunities to buy insurance that you may not have had a few years ago, and then your life changes. Everybody's life changes. Your families grow. Kids move out of the house. Grandkids come into the picture. You may have made changes to your home over time. You may have made changes, or there may be changes in your finances that mean that you need more liability insurance on your auto. So we strongly encourage, if not every year, at least every couple of years, and then if there is a significant change in the home, whether that be something material to the house itself or to your autos, but it may be something that's changed with your family. And it's important that you engage professionals whenever those changes occur. So we say, at least every couple of years, and then if there's a significant change in the house, that's a trigger that you need to sit down and talk to your agent. Yeah, one of the biggest questions we get, obviously from folks that are moving here, is how do we insure against hurricanes? What do we need to do to protect ourselves against hurricanes? And that's unfortunately just part of living in paradise. Is that something that we have to deal with? But you can mitigate yourself by taking a few steps. Number one is, we want to make sure the house is insured properly, meaning that we have the right amount of insurance. Number two, we want to make sure that you've got the right endorsements. There are a number of endorsements that are available on homeowners policies. Number one being replacement costs. You want to have replacement costs versus actual cash value on your structure. You certainly want replacement costs if it's your primary home. Absolutely, you want replacement costs on your contents, belongings as well. In terms of being prepared, number one, have your policy documents and have some basic understanding of your coverages. In terms of fortifying the home, the biggest issues that we find, failures with the roof. So if your roof is older or it's in disrepair, you're going to be more vulnerable. Older windows, because you have what we call wind-driven rain issues around those windows, where if the windows aren't perfectly sealed, you get 8 hours of wind blowing up against that window, water is going to get in. We call that wind-driven rain. Almost all homeowners policies cover you for that, but that's something that you might want to talk to your agent about. Additionally, it's important to have photos of every room in the house. If you've got a significant loss, trying to inventory personal property after that kind of trauma and possibly being relocated and using your additional living expense coverage in your homeowner's policy, if you have those photos that you can pull up and you've got an inventory, so critically important. And so the way insurers handle a loss is if it's a covered loss, you're going to get actual cash value at the time of loss. Now, hopefully you've got the replacement cost endorsement. If you have replacement cost, once you either contract to have the work fixed or you contract to have your property replaced, your insurer should give you that full replacement cost benefit. So talking to your agent now, don't wait till the middle of hurricane season. Don't wait till a hurricane's barreling down on you or us. Go ahead and talk to them now about what kind of coverage do I have? Do you have any suggestions about things that I need to improve my program? Yeah, so when someone suffers a loss, the first thing that we'll do, and really one of the benefits of dealing with someone locally, is a local agent's likely to have a relationship with a number of local contractors and vendors, whereas a 1-800 or a .com probably isn't going to have that same kind of list because they're not going to have the local kind of intel that a local agency does. So when there's a loss, the first thing that we do is, first thing you want to do is contact your agent. Preferably someone local, because not every situation is claim worthy, and it's not always your benefit file. If you're going to file a claim, we obviously want it to be something that's going to be paid. So people will call the office. We want to clean up the damage, so we will give you a vendor list of 20 odd names. You can use whoever you want to, but we found that a lot of our clients don't have a list of contractors, so we give them a suggested list of here are some names you can call. And so we want to make sure that that loss doesn't get worse. Your homeowner's policy, the dwelling coverage, covers almost everything that is sudden and direct unless it's specifically excluded. But indirect damage and things that occur over time oftentimes are not. So if there's water in the house, we want to get that water out of the house and you're going to be covered for that, getting the removal. Your policy states that you should try to prevent future damage. So we want to get that damage to where it's not going to get any worse. So once that is done, typically an adjuster will come out within a day or two around then, hopefully. They'll take all their photos, they'll do their inspection, they'll run their estimate, and then they will do what we call a vendor meet with who your contractor is about the total scope and cost of the damage to do the permanent repairs. But you don't need an adjuster at your house to do the preventive work. You don't have to wait for that. So we just don't want you doing the permanent putback. We do want you doing the preventive stuff up front, because that moisture and those water problems can manifest themselves into bigger issues that may or may not be covered. So preventing that from happening is definitely the most important thing. And when you deal with our office or you deal with another local agency, again, they're likely to have a list of folks that can get out there quickly and prevent that situation from getting worse, diagnose what's happening, and then give us estimates on what it's going to cost to do the permanent repairs. Some of the best practices that you can take to protect your investments and keep your costs down. Number one, like I've said, is having a conversation with your insurance agent. They're going to have an understanding about deductibles and premium credits and discounts that you're eligible for. A lot of times you'll find that when you bundle coverage, so if you do auto and homeowners insurance together, that can be a significant savings. Those discounts tend to be pretty darn high. Additionally, if you're building a home, you might think about becoming what we call IBHS certified. It's a fortified home program. It's hard to retrofit a home that's already been built, but if you're building a house, you might talk to your builder about becoming IBHS certified. It costs a little bit more, but it gives you the peace of mind that your home really is strong. And then additionally helps the property value, and you get a discount on your insurance. So, and then finally, if you are doing a roof replacement, you can also do a fortified roof. That's just a stronger roof than what would be typical. So if you're in a replacement situation, I would consider upgrading for that. There are endorsements on homeowners insurance that would pay for that upgrade of coverage. I think it's in increments of $4,000 to $5,000 that you can get additional coverage for. And that, the roof is by far the best protection in the first line of defense for a home. So a good, strong roof and a fortified roof will give you peace of mind that your roof is strong and it can withstand more than a typical roof can. Also, in terms of protecting your investment, you want to make sure you have adequate liability coverage. I mean, one personal injury lawsuit against you can wipe out a family. One bad car accident. Driving a car is one of the few things that even a very responsible person does where they can cause some really harm to someone else, and you're financially responsible for that, morally and legally. If you hurt someone, you are responsible to make them whole again. And then also understanding that you have the right coverage. So there's a difference between your primary residence and a secondary residence, and there's a big time difference between a personal residence and a rental property. So if you have a rental property, making sure you have business insurance, because personal insurance on your homeowners isn't going to cover you if you're making money from that investment. So, and then there's also what we call loss of income. So if a rental property is damaged to where a tenant cannot stay there, a rental insurance policy would give you loss of income, whereas your homeowner's policy gives you loss of use. Loss of use meaning you are unable to use your home. So the insurance company will pay normal standard of living for what it costs for you to live somewhere else. Whereas the rental property pays that income that you would have lost from that tenant when it's not occupied. Yeah, so there is a big difference between a personal policy and a business policy or commercial policy. And decisions that you make early on with your agent are so important if you're renting out the property, even if it's an Airbnb and you're renting a room out in your house. There are a ton of exclusions on your personal lines, like either your homeowner's 3 special form, which is for single dwellings, your HO6 policy, which is typically for condos and townhouses. Well, those are meant to ensure personal risk. So a second home where you're not renting it, ideally would be one of those types of policies. Now, the second you rent that out, if there's a check written to you, anything going on with that exposure is a commercial risk. And so there are exclusions all day long under those policies. Like for instance, like the Airbnb thing, there is a broadening home sharing endorsement that you can now add on your homeowner's policy that would cover you in the event that you are renting out a property, even just a room or the whole property. Someone gets hurt, someone burns the house down, someone causes damage, someone vandalizes, someone steals. If you don't have that endorsement, your coverage is really thin for that kind of exposure. So, and the cost of these endorsements are not a lot of money. Oftentimes anywhere from $30 to $100 a year, when the losses can be absolutely enormous. So, again, and being honest with your agent, being forthright about your intentions for the property and how you're using it. Or any of the other questions on an application, you need to be honest, because if you're not honest, then you might not have the right coverage that you need, and not having the right coverage can be financially catastrophic. We are a full-service, multi-line insurance agency, so what that means is we offer all types of personal lines insurance. The typical things that you would think of would be homeowners insurance. A lot of our policies, our homeowners policies, do include wind and hail. It's a case-by-case situation based on the risk, but we can include wind and hail often. We also offer renters insurance, condo insurance, of course, flood insurance, and then all types of business insurance policies. We do financial services as well, life insurance being a big one. State Farm is the #1 home insurer in the country, #1 auto insurer in the country, and the #1 life insurer in terms of bodies insured in the country. So when people think about State Farm and think about us, they tend to think about those products. But we can go pretty darn deep to make sure that our customers' needs are all met. And most of the time when we sit down with someone and we uncover these additional needs, we've got a product that's going to provide them with adequate coverage. We've got a solution to what their situation is.